That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Show notes.
I would like to point out, they weren't just swimming in cold water. They were also swimming in shark-infested water, which adds another element.
Yeah, well, there's also the fear factor. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-host. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we are just trying to have a conversation here without Googling or fact-checking things online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
And we're back tonight in Camel City Studios and the remote studio with Scott Spickard.
Hey, Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be back again.
So we brought you back because last week's episode, we covered a lot of ground, but we didn't have time last week to cover the ice therapy or cold showers. Cold showers.
And you had strong feelings about this one.
So tell us again this week, tell everybody that's listening this week, the tens of people that are out there.
Yeah, so if you weren't tuned in last week, I made the claim that cold showers, just in and of itself, do not sound right. Frankly, because I don't understand why people would choose pain in the morning or at night when they could choose a nice, warm, comforting shower. Now, I know this is complicated and very controversial because some people choose cold showers on the regular for various scientific reasons that don't make any sense to me because I'm a humanities guy. I'm not much of a STEM and science person. So it all goes over my head, but I just know that if I need to get up in the morning, just a warm shower does the trick for me. So cold showers don't sound right. And I want to make a distinction here. I'm not talking about like an ice bath or like athletic like treatment or like obviously there are lots of benefits from like ice therapy or recovery in those kinds of ways. I'm talking about the average Joes, you and me, deciding in the morning or at night, whenever you're taking a shower, like, yeah, I'm gonna choose a cold shower. The world has enough pain in it for all of us to experience. We don't need to add to it with our own choosing of a cold shower.
Now, I don't know about an average Joe, but I have heard that an average Cecil, or I would even say above average Cecil, subjects himself to said cold showers.
I do.
Is this a daily thing?
I go through phases.
Okay, tell me.
So I go through phases. So like if I'm really doing a lot of running, is usually when I'll start doing cold showers. Now, the ironic thing is one of the reasons I started doing cold shower is because I read that it was good for your hair, but obviously that did not pan out.
Wait.
Since I now have very little hair.
Wait, how long ago was this?
Probably about the time I started losing my hair, I started.
Is that when you started doing the cold shower?
I started doing the cold showers.
No kidding.
Yeah. So.
Do you feel a little duped on this?
I feel a little duped on that.
But you still do the cold shower.
I still do the cold shower.
Okay, so tell us what's going on with
I actually do it for the reason that Scott is talking about is that I want to make myself uncomfortable.
Okay.
So if I'm training a lot, I'm running a lot. I feel like the cold shower, this will get laughs up and down the
East Coast.
But toughens you up a little bit. That you're subjecting yourself, and you're right, Scott, you're subjecting yourself to pain. I feel like in doing that, it makes me a better runner.
Go ahead.
I'm all for finding ways to, acclimate ourselves to difficult things and sometimes painful things to help us, to toughen us up or prepare us for challenges, either physically or otherwise, that we'll experience. I can't get behind choosing to do that in the shower.
I understand. I have, prior to starting to do this, I would avoid cold showers. I would even avoid getting in the shower before it was fully warm.
You would avoid a shower if it was cold.
Yeah, I would not. I did not want to shower.
I've been to plenty of camps that had cold showers.
Yeah.
I didn't shower that much.
Right. Yeah, it's tough to step into a knowingly cold shower.
How about, have any of you guys gotten into really cold water?
Yes.
To say swim.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's that experience like for you?
I think it's great because it's so rare. And especially if I went to school up at Appalachian State, and so there were lots of swimming holes and places to swim in or jump in cold water, and it's amazing. But it's way better when you get out and towel off and warm up.
So you're okay with that?
Yes.
So to me, the coldest shower, the shower that's very painful, is a backpacking shower.
Mm-hmm.
So you wake up, it's cold anyway.
Yeah.
In the mountains. Then you go down to the spring and you fill up a jug.
You're making me miserable.
Yeah, you fill up a jug.
The sun's not out yet.
Sun's not out.
You're killing me.
You have a.
This is the worst.
You have an eighth of a towel, right? You don't even have a full towel.
Your clothes are damp anyway.
Your clothes are damp anyway.
Oh.
You may have had a miserable night.
Why did you do this in the morning?
You go down there in the morning and you have your friend pour the cold water over you and soap up, and then pour more cold water over you.
No friend of mine.
That's a tough shower.
Mm.
Well,
it's a tough shower.
That's harsh.
Yeah, no, but you're awake after that and you're ready to get on the trail because you want to warm up.
So it's interesting. I think, Scott, you touched on a couple things. You talked about ice baths, cold things on our bodies for healing, and then you bring up the cold showers. And is that a legit therapy, right? Is that a legitimate way of treating something? And I wondered the same thing too, and I alluded to in last week's episode that ever since your email came up, just out of the blue, some things have come up with me and other people where we've talked about these cold therapy. And so the most interesting thing I listened to, it was about an hour and a half podcast of a neurologist bringing in a woman from Denmark and who had done research on cold therapy and had some scientific evidence for why it's helpful, what it does. And it's interesting. She addressed a lot of things we just talked about here in the last 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd she say?
So the first thing is she totally agrees that it's painful.
Yes.
It is not fun.
Right.
It is, it pushes you to some limit. But she points out that many things that are good for us often do that.
Okay.
And just because it does that doesn't mean we should avoid it. In fact, we might need to do it.
Is there a need for it?
Is there a need to do it?
Yeah.
I don't think she would say there's a need to do it, but it does bring about some benefits, okay, that you might not get otherwise.
Well, there seems to be a fad right now of doing this.
Well, that's what's also interesting is that my daughter, high school, right, she says, why are y'all talking about this? People have been talking about this forever. Or they've been talking about this a lot lately.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I haven't really seen it, at least not in my limited social media. Scott, have you been hearing a lot about cold showers and cold therapies and dunking and putting your face in cold water? Has this been a popular topic on social media?
I have not seen it. That doesn't mean it's not happening. I feel like I get behind a lot with the popular trends and topics on social media. But it's interesting you guys, Peter, you brought up that podcast because I read a book called Why We Swim, and I can't remember who wrote it, but she was making the claim of just talking about how good swimming is for us, and she talked about how there's a group in the Bay Area who every morning swims in shark-infested open water that's really cold. And she talked about how alive she feels in that water, and how scientifically too, there's so many benefits to being, I think, one, so present, because you can only think about swimming kind of the long distance that they're swimming, also in a dangerous area with so many sharks. But being in the cold water does something to their bodies that is really beneficial. And again, I have no idea like what that actually is. But to your point, I think there's so many benefits from putting our bodies and ourselves in situations that are uncomfortable. And yeah, I can totally agree in that, and how I've benefited from many situations when I've been uncomfortable. But so yeah, I'm not negating kind of the scientific benefits of it. I just think to choose to do it in the shower is what I keep coming back to. And I'll also say, I think I think there's a reason why the kind of concept of having like shower thoughts or realizations in the shower when you're in a warm, comfortable environment, like it allows your body to rest. And I think when you take a cold shower, you're robbing yourself of the ability to potentially have really meaningful thoughts in the shower. So it's kind of look at it both ways, where there's benefits on both sides.
And that's why you do both, right?
Yeah. Well, that's actually true, because you're not thinking about much when you're cold.
No, you're not. You're thinking about surviving.
You're thinking about not being cold.
Right.
And I have the other reason. There is a second reason I will take a cold shower, or I'll finish with a cold shower, is that when it's cold, I will finish with a cold shower, because it tends to drop the humidity in the bathroom, and I don't feel as cold when I get out of the shower.
Is that right?
Yeah. And it also clears the mirror up.
Wait, you got to run that cold. You got to run a cold shower. You got to run that cold.
You'll be shot like in cold weather.
Yeah, like right now.
Right now.
If I run a 30-second cold shower,
about 30 seconds,
it's going to clean up that don't sound right.
It'll clean your mirror.
Yeah.
It will. The humidity will, the steam will disappear.
There's no way.
The steam will disappear, and your mirror will clear up before you get out of the shower, and you won't feel cold getting out of the shower.
I believe you won't feel good. Well, I don't even know. I don't know if I believe you get. I still think I feel cold.
Yeah. No, you'll have a clear mirror.
But Scott, I mean, what Cecil does, he takes advantage of both worlds.
Yeah.
So he's got the warm hot shower, good thoughts, clear thoughts. Although, are you really thinking good thoughts? Or are you really? Oh man, I gotta make this thing cold.
Forget everything.
Is there still a little anxiety in your hot shower because your cold shower's coming?
When the cold water hits, everything's gone after that.
So one of the things this woman also said was that what you touched upon and what you touched upon, Scott, was that the temperature differential actually makes a difference. Getting into a cold thing of water, even a cold shower after being exposed to heat, doesn't feel bad. But when the temperature is close to being the water temperature, it's terrible. That's like when you get up in the morning, it's 50 degrees and you go get in 40-degree water. That's a terrible feeling. But after you're backpacking and it's 80 degrees out and you go and get 40-degree water, it's a little more refreshing.
Yes. Now I swim down at our pool, our neighborhood pool.
That's a cold pool.
In the morning.
That pool is in the shade all year long.
That is difficult to go down there in the spring when the air temperature is in the 50s, 40s, and get into a pool that's also about 40. That's bracing, to say the least. But it wakes you up.
So the other thing in this podcast was that she was talking about the ideal therapy is that you do a cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, or at least cold, hot, cold.
What is the thing they do where they get in a sweat lodge?
Sauna.
And then they run out into cold water?
Yep.
Yeah. I heard that can be bad.
Well, but her thing is that you finish cold.
That's what I do.
That's cold. What you do. You finish cold. And the reason you finish cold is that you have kicked your body in to warm up mode. And what warm-up mode does, it starts converting your white fat into brown fat, and the brown fat is what burns to fuel you being warm. And that effect actually lingers on throughout several hours after you do that cold shower.
Really?
It also releases certain chemicals, dopamines, and that's also released. And that lingering effect actually makes you sharper throughout the day. So I like Scott's idea of the hot shower.
Right.
Because I agree with you, Scott.
Why subject yourself?
No. I like the idea of take the hot shower because of what it does to my mind.
Right.
Because it does. I mean, a hot shower wakes me up.
Right.
And you get some good thoughts. But then crank it on to cold and see what happens. So as a result of, this conversation and the podcast and hearing you do it, Cecil, I actually intend to start this. The
hot cold?
I'm going to do the hot cold.
Scott, I don't think I've won you over to
Scott, I think I heard him throw the phone.
I understand because, I do understand because for a long time, I mean, if you have hot water available, why would you not avail yourself of the hot water?
That's right.
Why would you put yourself into that situation?
Yeah.
This could be another controversial episode. I think Big Hot Shower might be calling us up.
So, the athletes that you work with, do they do the ice therapy? Do you have big ice tubs?
That's a good question. I'm sure they do. Yeah, they do ice baths occasionally. They also do cryotherapy, which I honestly don't know a whole lot about. But from a sponsorship side of things, we've worked with some cryotherapy partners who work with the teams. So yeah, they're all over it, and they'll do anything to kind of take care of their bodies, help them recover.
I can do a cold shower, but I cannot imagine getting into an ice bath.
Yeah.
That is a whole different level.
That's a different level.
Have y'all seen the movie The Guardian? With Kevin Costner. Have you seen it, Scott?
No, I haven't.
So in that movie, there's a miserable scene where Kevin Costner gets all the recruits, their Coast Guard divers, rescue divers, puts them in an ice-filled pool so that they can experience hypothermia. And it's a miserable scene. You were ready to be out of that. And then also we read the book together. What was it? About the book where the ship gets caught in the ice at the South Pole in Antarctica.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was, those guys were wet and cold for months.
Yeah.
And I don't choose that.
No. But those guys got used to it.
You think they got used to it?
I don't doubt that they got used to it.
That's tough. That's tough sled, man, to be cold and wet. Yeah, because typically I don't like to be cold. I can handle being hot much easier than I can being cold.
Yeah, but Scott, I guess one of the things that you said in your email is that you're not convinced that a cold shower is better for you than a warm shower. And I guess I would tend to agree. I think it's good for you. I'm not sure if it's better for you. I think it's just different.
Right.
It's just a different kind of good.
Right. Now, do you have friends out there that are showering cold and wearing socks to bed?
So Phil, who I mentioned the last week, he is somebody who occasionally takes cold showers. And what's funny is I think it's pretty common for people to start, with hot water and then go cold for the last 30 seconds or so. But I think Phil is one of those people that it's just cold the whole time. And that just did not sound right at all.
It is hard to step into a cold shower.
Yeah.
I've had to do that on occasion. And it is so free. And the other thing that I hate to do is where I've started a shower and it's warm and we run out of hot water. And
that's
I
right.
don't need to run out of hot water. I don't want to run out of hot water. And you're not ready.
When it's not on your timing.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
Yeah, that's
the cold showers where you have to get wet in cold water, soap up, and then rinse off with cold water. Those are tough. So I was in a situation for a week where I had to shower with cold water every day in overseas.
All right.
And I did get to where I would cut the water on and it was cold and I would just commit myself to stepping into it.
Yeah.
Like at first I was doing the whole get wet, lather up, rinse off.
Yeah.
By the end of the week, I was just showering.
See, but you got used to it.
I got used to it.
You do, I mean, that's one of the things this woman said is that you actually, from her research, you do get used to it. When you first jump in that cold shower or that cold bath, your breathing, your breathing gets a little off kilter.
Right.
But that actually, your body actually.
Yeah. By the end of the week, recovers. I was showering.
You were fine.
I was fine. It is, that's why that sliding rock where you're sliding down in a 34 degree, right. Some people hit that stuff and have trouble breathing. That's why they have the rescuers down there.
That's right.
So I was talking to one of them and they said they would pull out 10 or 15 people a day.
Because
they weren't drowning, but they couldn't catch their breath after they hit that cold water. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. All right, Scott, any final words on this was a great episode. This was a great topic. Any final words?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Peter nailed it. Just obviously there's, I think there's good elements to both cold shower and a hot shower, but got to say a hot shower has to be better for you, in my opinion, for all that it does, for you.
If nothing else, this will get people talking.
Exactly. Let's keep the conversation going.
Keep the conversation going.
And, in full disclosure, this woman said all her research was done in cold swimming. She says no research has ever been done on cold showers.
Really?
Because it's just too hard to control.
That's significant, I think. So I will say just real quick, the book that I mentioned, Why We Swim.
Yeah.
I was so wrapped up in it that my apartment has an outdoor pool. And I found myself getting in that pool in October a few months ago after I finished the book because I was so excited about all the benefits of cold swimming. But yeah, that does seem like a pretty significant distinction in this argument compared to cold showers.
Who wrote the book?
I've got it on my bookshelf.
Scott, I think you're a kindred spirit, man. If you read a book and then went and jumped in the pool to see.
Yeah.
I think that's something that either Peter or I would do.
Because I'm about to start turning my water cold and put I wanted for this episode, I thought about getting a big pot of ice water for you, Cecil, put your face in.
No. I think I may try now just to do a cold shower from the very start.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
that don't sound right.
Did you find your book, Scott?
I did not. I think I might have lent it to my dad or something, but I think it's somebody named Bonnie something. I'm not sure.
I would like to point out that
I can send it to you and you can attach it in the notes.
Put it in the show notes.
I would like to point out they weren't just swimming in cold water; they were also swimming in shark-infested water, which adds another element.
Yeah, well, there's also the fear factor.
Right.
There's also like a level of adrenaline.
That's a whole nother level of something. I don't know what that is. I would not swim with sharks. Of course, I wouldn't hit an alligator either.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. Well, it don't sound right, but you have come to the end of another controversial That Don't Sound Right.
Well, before we close, hey, we want to thank you, Scott, for being on the show again. We want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a long-time listener, give us that rating, leave us that review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
And Scott, what are the teams you represent again?
The North Carolina Courage and North Carolina FC, professional soccer teams.
Courage and FC, the letters?
Yes.
Cool. Football club. So go out and see them.
In Raleigh.
In Raleigh. And also buy a shirt from Wonderfully Made Designs, which is a small business specializing in custom-made T-shirts and decals. Contact Casey on Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs, 139.14. Use our code TDSR10 for 10% off your first order.
Valentine's Day is coming up. It'll be here before you know it.
That's right. Time to get your merchandise. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and your web designer. Your guest tonight has been Scott. Camille is our part-time barista. Emily does our graphic design. Ella does our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking
and stay curious.